My name is André Bacelar. I'm originally from Brazil. I've been in the UK for 10 years now. Basically, I am the subject of the discussion today.
Okay. So that's enough, because you will have later 10 minutes to talk about your experiences and about who you are and what you want to discuss here. The second person who is going to talk here is nSergiu. So please, Sergio, who are you and where do you come from?
Hi, I'm Grimalschi. I'm coming from Germany, but I'm migrant too. My first country was Romania. I'm social worker and specialist in culture, sex work.
And then we have Thomas Buhk, Dr. Thomas Buhk. You come from Hamburg. Who you are?
Yes, me, I'm a medical doctor. I work in Hamburg. I'm in the big institute for infectious diseases together with 7 other doctors. And I work with migrants, with civil migrants, with prostitutes, male and female, a long time, more than 15 years. And I did this myself hidden in a big hospital where it was not allowed to do it. And now I have my own practice, now it's allowed, now I can do it. But there are problems with the money, problems how to get medicaments for these migrants which have no health insurance. And about this I will talk.
Yes, thank you for coming all the way to Portugal. So we are going to look at the issue that we are addressing here from 3 perspectives. So we have someone who talks about personal experiences being a migrant and living abroad or in a host country for a couple of years. Then we have one service provider, which is nSergiu. So we will bring in your perspective, and one physician who will talk about treating migrant or undocumented people. I just give a brief introduction. I won't bore you with data, because the whole issue was addressed at the whole conference. So we would like to reflect on the situation of migrant mobile population, mobile MSM, and listen to personal experiences. And this relates for somebody who lives as a migrant in a host community. So we are going to listen what you think about that. And then years of migrants might relate to their status, discrimination I just talked about. And then we have this identity constructs and empowerment. We always say, to empower yourself as a gay man, you have to get an identity. Does this apply to migrants as well? Is there an identity as being an escort, a sex worker? Is this possible? What sort of experience do we have here? From the service provider, the first thing would be, the first question maybe, what is the aim of a service provider? What do they want? To what sort of needs do they reflect upon? What do they offer? How to reach the so-called hard-to-reach groups? What are the thresholds? What is the impact of the legal situation, law enforcement, the police, prejudices? What is the impact of cultural differences in terms of sexual identity and openness? And how does it look? What experience do we have by the inclusion of migrants? We always state that migrants should be included into healthcare services in design and delivery of program. Does this work? What experiences do we have? Is it difficult to empower migrants to do their own work? So how to mobilize them? So this would be one question to address here. And then the treatment. There are of course particular needs of migrant MSM and sex workers. Access to HIV diagnostics. We heard about that during the conference. There's a high rate of living presenters. There are limited treatment options, especially for undocumented migrants, and this refers maybe to a lack of the structures. This relates to cooperation with other organizations, so if a physician wants to treat migrants, or undocumented migrants, he might face many problems. And this relates, of course, again, to legal and structural barriers, like access to health insurance, work options, etc., etc. There are issues around the doctor-patient relationship. So, cultural, language differences, communication, how to communicate, are migrants as compliant as non-migrants, etc., etc. Some word about mobile populations and migrants themselves. So we talk about 3% of the world population, so this data 5 years ago might have changed, 191 million people. The number of undocumented migrants in Germany is between 100,000 and 500,000 people. I have this data from Europe. The thing is, nobody knows exactly how many people we talk about. And the percentage of migrants doing sex work, I think it's unknown. We don't have that many data upon that, but Salvi is going to reflect on that. And I think the percentage of migrants that come to NGOs is quite high, but we will cover that. So we talk about the higher prevalence, of course. I played presenters of comorbidities, epilepsy, malaria, tuberculosis, maybe higher risk behavior. Is this true? We don't know. Maybe we know. We might exchange our experiences here. Migration and mobility is itself a risk factor, of course. So it relates to poverty, to access to services, exploitation, and one sort of exploitation might be, as a sex worker, of course. And there's a lack of policy response. So migrant health is a very low priority. There are issues like around mandatory HIV testing, exclusionary policies. There's this cost argument. We cannot afford that because it's too expensive. So we have to exclude undocumented migrant population to HIV services or treatment, as it happened in Greece and in Spain last year. I think one of the really difficult things is because this session should be about culture as well, and culture is deformed. I would now, for this purpose, define it as the whole setting where norms are shaped, beliefs, traditions, and religion. And we have different concepts of culture, and when we talk about migrants, I would, what I bring in is here that we have a dynamic concept of culture, and this applies very often to ourselves as coming from European countries. So we would say, okay, if we go to African countries, we just adapt our behavior, and we are able to change our behavior and adapt to the local situation. But when we talk about migrants, we often hear or have the perception that, okay, they come from a country and they have this very strong norms and beliefs, and they would not be able to change. And this is sometimes a bit racistic, I would say. But we could and can reflect on that. And this refers to what I said before, that this whole discussion was, how cultural sensitive do we have? And just the one example from my country, Germany, the whole discussion of being cultural sensitive and doing prevention for migrants, there was this dilemma that we somehow are very, very careful to address the issues because we don't want to, we do want to avoid discrimination. And the thing is, the question would be, okay, what is it about the cultural sensitivity? Do we maybe overdo it a little bit? Or how to change maybe our own perception? And last but not least, what do migrants want? Do they want to be perceived as migrants, or do they want to be perceived as citizens? thanks for Ruben and Giuliu for putting the session together. And I would invite you now, Andre, to talk about your experiences. So you have 10 minutes time. And after that, we would have questions, and I hope you have many questions to him, and we discuss that, and then we go on. Okay?
Good afternoon again. Hello everyone. So my name is André Bacelar. I'm originally from Brazil, and I immigrated to the UK, to London, 10 years ago. And I was asked to, as the subject of the talk today is cultural sex work, migrant, about MSM. And I fit perfectly, fortunately or unfortunately, I fit perfectly into this category. I've been invited to share my own personal experiences rather than just people here sitting talking about subject without having the subject itself that give their own perspective and their own points of view and their own shared own experiences. Well, when I moved to the UK, I was already on treatment. I was already HIV positive, receiving treatment back in Brazil. But I didn't know how to get about to continue my treatment over there in the UK. I didn't know how it was legal, if I could, as an immigrant, receive treatment freely or if I had to pay. I had a student visa at the time. I was studying English, and I remember me and my ex-partner called an HIV gay helpline, explained our situation, saying that I just moved to London, I was positive, receiving treatment in Brazil, but I would like to know how can I continue receiving treatment in the UK. And the answer we got was that I should go to a clinic, do not tell the nurses and doctors that I knew that I was positive, and have the test done again. That's what I did, feeling really bad actually, because I had to go to the clinic, pretend I didn't know I was positive, and got the results, and the nurse is saying, "Oh, I've got really bad news for you." And they was like, "Okay, go on, tell me." And he told me I was positive, and I want to say I know that. But no, he said that he found it strange that he said, your results shows that you've been undetectable, and that shows that only people in treatment would have the results you have. And we arranged another appointment where I'd have to go and see the doctors and discuss further. In the meantime, I found a magazine which is orientated to the Brazilian community that lives in London, called Lira's magazine, where you can find any sort of adverts for housing, Brazilian shops, healthcare, all sorts of help that the community may have, immigration. It's called Lira's magazine. Looking through Lira's, I found out about NAS Project London, which I'm here representing today. NAS Project London is an organization, a charity in London that looks after mainly gay men from black community, men and women from the Muslim community, and people living with HIV. They look after ethnic minorities in the UK. I don't know what the situation in Portugal is with ethnic minorities, but in the UK, I don't know if you know, but if you're Muslim and if someone who is Hindu decides to marry someone who is Muslim, the families, sometimes they end up killing their offspring, or they send them to another country, or they still have the arranged marriage culture. And if you're gay, it's even worse. There are stories of people being killed. Many women, I would say, many women have been killed by their own families if they decide to marry someone that their family disagrees with. So now it's looking after these people in case they are gays, and for Muslim families it's just too difficult to accept. The black community in the UK also is very prejudiced against gay people. And NAS is doing this beautiful, beautiful work, giving welfare support, social support, psychological, emotional support, support with housing, psychologists, healthcare to people, to these sort of people. Black people, people, men and women, doesn't, regardless of sexuality, living with HIV and Muslims. I found on NAS magazine an advert saying that if you need help, care, help, we can give you. And then I got in touch with them, and I found out that actually I did have the right to receive treatment in the UK. I didn't have to go through all that I did. One of the sex users arranged to meet me, took me to the hospital, and we did everything lawfully. I told the doctor I was positive, and he said, okay, you still have to do a test, and we did everything correct, and you don't have to lie anymore. What I can say about treatment and prevention, I think that when it comes to treatment, at least in the UK, in England, it's very, very good. They treat us excellently. The results always come really fast. The medication is given freely. They deliver the medication at your home by post. So basically just go to see the doctors, do your blood test, and you don't even have to go back to the doctor and send the medication to your home. And it's everything free. You don't have to pay for anything. I don't know what the situation is when you don't have documents, because I've never been there myself. I know people, all the Brazilians, who don't have documents, but I don't think they've done sex work or actually, yeah. So from my experience, I always had visas. Right now, I'm a British citizen. I mean, I have dual nationality, I'm Brazilian, but I'm also British. But even before getting my citizenship, I always had a visa. I was living on a student visa before. And I remember my doctor telling me once that, so we have a visa, and I said, yeah, I don't have a student visa. And he used to say, yeah, but if your visa run out, if you don't have money to extend the next year, if you have any problem with your visa, don't tell the nurses, don't tell anyone, so we can continue to give you treatment. Which I know is not the right thing to do, and I never needed to do that, as I said, but it felt good to know that if I ever was in trouble, if I didn't have a visa one day, they would still keep supporting me, giving me treatment. Which, in a way, they're helping themselves as well, because if I stop taking my medication, I might get ill, which will keep them more work, and I might infect other people as well, which will keep them more work. So it's the government saying, don't do it, but the doctors is doing something else in pro of the healthy society, let's say. So in terms of treatment, I think the UK is doing amazingly well. When it comes to prevention, I think prevention work could be done better. I think there's lots of things lacking. I don't know. here in Portugal either, how things are being done, but I think more outreach work should be done. People, there are lots of gay parties, lots of gay events, but I don't see many outreach workers there talking about safe sex and talking about the services that are available for people. And there are a lot of services available. As I said, NAS, I started using NAS Project London 10 years ago when I first arrived, when they took me to the hospital and I arranged my treatment. And then throughout the years, I've been using them, and today now, I still use NAS. 10 years later, I'm still an active client user of NAS Project London. They sent me here for this conference, and at the moment, I've been receiving counseling with them once a week. There's another beautiful work they do. If anyone needs to do therapy, we all know how expensive it is to see a psychologist once a week. And because that's a charity, they charge only anything between 5 to 20 pounds to see a psychologist once a week, which is helping society, helping the ethnic minorities, helping people in low wages and vulnerable positions. I would like to discuss a bit of sex work. Unfortunately, the migrants, I would say, especially from Brazil, South America, or in the other poorer countries, when they come to Europe, unfortunately, sadly, there is this belief and there's a certain discrimination, which is not unfounded, sadly, that people are prostitutes or passport seekers. And I've heard that here in Portugal as well. I was talking to a Portuguese man yesterday, he said, told me the same thing. I know it's the same in Italy, in Spain, in England it's a lot different. Sometimes when you say that you're Brazilian, people smile and they're like, oh, you're Brazilian, yes. But when it comes to relationship-wise, they think, oh, this person. And sadly, these prejudices and discriminations are not unfounded. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there doing that. Obviously, we cannot generalize and say that every Brazilian, or every Cuban, or every Thai people are doing that. But sadly, there are a great number of people living like this. And I fell into the same trap myself. My first 3 years in the UK, I was studying English. I was working, like I had a labor, a job. And after 2 years, I just got tired hanging out with other Brazilians and having friends who were selling their bodies. I thought, I'm tired of working. Is everyone doing it? I'm like, not everyone, but people that I knew were doing that. I'm gonna try as well. And I decided to try to see, to prove the European people right, actually, when they say Brazilians do this and that. Unfortunately, I wasn't exactly the same. So for 4 months in 2005, was just a summer. I started. I started in June, and then I started working as a sex worker. And by October, I met someone who told me, André, we don't need to do that anymore. I can help you go back to study. And I went to drama school and stopped working. So I think I was very lucky that I only lasted for 4 months. But the problem that comes with it, and I think not many people discuss, is that usually sex workers, I would say mostly, end up taking drugs as well. I think it's a coping mechanism. I think it's a way of, you have to sleep with people you don't really want to sleep with. You have to do things that because of money, and some people turn into drugs, some turn into alcohol, and drugs, unfortunately, leads to unsafe sex practices. So they're sleeping with several people for money, and they have to take drugs to cope with it, and the drugs lead to unsafe sex practices, which will lead to more disease, more spread, and unfortunately, from what I heard, the combination of HIV and hepatitis C together is a horrible, horrible combination. And nowadays, people believe that because the treatment's been working so well for everyone, people don't die of AIDS anymore these days. People live many, many years. People are kind of walking backwards now and thinking that it's okay to have protected sex because the medication works, everyone is looking really healthy. Sometimes when I tell people I'm positive, they go like, you don't look positive. But what a positive person looks like. So, yeah, the treatment is working so well. There's PEP as well. So young people nowadays believe that it's okay to have protected sex because there's an efficient medication working. And that's why I think that better work of prevention should be placed, it should be done. Yes, I can't tell anything negative about the treatment. I can tell unfortunately, as I said, the prejudices that sometimes they are founded. As I said, we can generalize, we can say everyone's the same, but they are founded. Because I fall into that myself. I don't work as a sex worker anymore, so I'm not taking any books today, I'm sorry. Yes, that's my story. I'm open to questions. If anyone wants to ask me anything, please do. There's no difficult question, there's no silly question, there's no awkward question. There might be a delicate question, but I'm still happy to answer. So feel free. Thank you.
Okay, so we have something like 10 minutes for questions. I have a question, but you're the audience, and you might have a question to your story. You might want to respond to it or to compare the quality of treatment you received to the treatment that is maybe not or is better, even better available in Portugal. I don't know. So just think about, and if nobody comes up with a question, I have mine. You talk about prevention, that there should be more prevention for this community, for your community. And we in my country, in Germany, we have always, as I mentioned before, this difficulty that somehow it looks a little bit awkward if white men do prevention for Black African communities. So who should do this prevention, or who does it? Who would be responsible, and what would be the role of the migrant communities there?
Well, from my experience, NAS Project in London has been doing this work in London and the UK. NAS is looking after, like I said, ethnic minorities, Black people living with HIV, and women and men with a Muslim background. So they are looking, as I said, I've been receiving counseling, so they are helping me understand why I got into prostitution in the first place, why people take drugs, why. So they are actually doing a work that's helping people change their lives and think about what they are doing, why they are doing what they are doing. But they also they're also helping people find help with health services as they did with me. They are empowering people. They are taking people on social events just to make their lives a bit more bearable. So, from my experience, NAS Project Land is doing this work because the government, as I said, the government is giving medication and is doing all the technical stuff. So it's taking your blood and make sure you're well. But there is no emotional support, there's no social support when it comes to government help. So in my case, it's a charity called NAS Project Land that is doing that.
I see one question here.
I would like to link to your question about prevention. You said that you think about that there is a lack of outreach prevention. And I would like to understand a little bit more what kind of preventions do you need. Because you talk about information, and, but I really don't believe that gay men or migrants need prevention, more information. What kind of preventions are you talking about? And just another question is that you talked very little about culture. Is it true migrants have a different culture? They need something specially about culture, or is a word that we think that you have a different culture? I would like to know more about your experience in this kind of questions.
Okay, so the first question, what kind of prevention? I would, from my point of view, I do think everyone needs prevention. I say that because, I will repeat what I said earlier, because the treatment's been working so well, people live longer nowadays. So the younger generation believes that it's okay to have unsafe sex. And, people take pills and they can live till they are 9 years old. So it's okay. Or I can go to the clinic tomorrow and take a pack just for a month and I won't catch anything. So inform people that that's not actually okay, because there's still other diseases and HIV is still a serious thing. But also the work of prevention that, for example, NAS Project Land is doing, like giving all the kinds of social support, like counseling. So there's no point in treating a headache but not treating the cause of the headache. What is causing the headache in the first place? And that's what NAS does. It's not treating the problems only, not the people doing sex work or taking drugs, but they're also dealing with the problems underneath it, why people need to take drugs, why they need to go to sex work. So just they go into the core of the problem. I think that's a beautiful way of prevention as well. And the second question was?
The cultural. To migrants have a different culture, need to get addressed in a different way compared to people from the UK.
Sometimes, I think you do. I think you do. At least in the UK, as I said, when it comes to treatment, it's first class. If you go to a hospital, they actually always ask if you want to be seen by a doctor with an interpreter. And in the leaflets of the clinics, they always have 5, 6, I don't know how many different languages at the back, saying the same thing. You need to call in Chinese, in Portuguese, in Italian, and Arabic. And if you don't, because sometimes people migrate to other countries, but they don't speak the language very well, I don't know. And you need to go to the doctor and explain things, say how you feel, and talk to people, ask for help. And in the UK, you can get it for free, you can get translators with you at every consultation you have, if you need to.
Yes. There's time for one more question. Do you have any more questions here? Yeah?
I have a question, but first I have a small announce. It's because of a car, sorry. Quem tiver Lisboa 306 1938 OE, Giuliu, mal estacionado, por favor, mude de lugar. This was, sorry. My question is, what you were talking about how difficult it was to reach the treatment in your case because you didn't have enough information. My question is, how is it nowadays? It's easier for people with this, well, from different backgrounds, from different cultures to arrive to UK and to reach treatment if they are already HIV infected. And is this the same for undocumented migrants? And if it's not easy, what kind of proposals do you have for changing it?
From my own experience, it is if you need help, if you need medical help, they'll give you. They don't ask for documents, they don't ask for you to see your passport or things like that. They want to, yeah, they will treat you. If you need it, they'll treat you. If you need basic help. But I think HIV is seen as high importance, not basic. So yeah, you don't need to prove anything. You just go to the hospital and they will see it. There's no, so undocumented people can get treatment over there. Yes.
Yeah, the government of UK decided last summer that undocumented migrants with HIV should receive HIV treatment, and they used this public health argument, treatment as part of prevention, that this would be beneficial for the society. And the thing is, other countries like Spain and Greece and Portugal, I don't know exactly what the situation is, that they took a different decision to exclude them because it's too expensive. So that is two arguments that are somehow used currently. Just a brief comment. Yeah, but it would be good to hear something about
Yes, I will give feedback on that. But my issue was different. It's not only having access to, well, it's not like treatment being available for HIV-infected people, undocumented. It's people reaching treatment, okay? So it's totally different to have something there and to reach that, And my question was, okay, treatment is available for undocumented migrants, okay, but do they reach there? Because in your case, you had to do a new test and pretend, oh, I'm so sad. Okay, so in the talking about the Portuguese case, we don't have any issue because we have the same, for years, we have the same law than the UK. It's a public health issue, so undocumented migrants, if they want and if they reach there, they will have access, okay? The issue that we have sometimes is that services are not well informed and sometimes they refuse the migrant. And then if they come to NGO, they will have information and they will, of course, be linked to care and everything's going to go okay, it will be okay. But if they don't know, maybe they are lost, so, but, well, theoretically, they can be treated.
Okay, so this is more or less the same issue like you experienced, that there's a lack of information that was at the beginning and you go to an awkward situation, and I mean, just imagine you would not have found this leaflet and the information with this NAS project, and you would be in a completely, or might be now in a completely different situation. So I would now, thanks a lot for telling your story, and now we go to nSergiu, so you have a couple of minutes time to talk about your work, and you might as well respond what you hear here and raise issues that you want to address.
I arranged to make a PowerPoint presentation, and I hope that we can have a discussion. That means I expect questions from you. If you have ideas or you want to comment something, feel free to interrupt. I'm open for every question. I would like to say something what I observed in my now this year 20 years experience in the issue migrants and HIV prevention. First, that this terminology about hidden groups is for me not available. It's really not true that migrants or MSM are not still assess they are difficult to be reached. I think the prevention stay all the time very, very high and very far from the team. What it's really for the aspects are very important. And I think that if the prevention is done, it's made by people who are involved. That means people who are inside in these fields. It's not really a problem of difficult access. It's a problem of maybe wrong strategy from the health ministry or other structures paying the prevention. About my professional evolution, I would like to say a few words. I'm starting like immigrant from Romania. I was studying in Romania Slavic and Romanic languages, so I was a translator coming to Germany without work permit for open work permit. But I get the permission to work with migrants because it was a big problem in the field of the refugees. So I start first not knowing something about sex work and HIV and so on. And I see into the work that very much young migrants are working like a sex worker. So I changed after a few years to the project Sampleri in Berlin, where we offer services for migrants working in the sex business, male sex business. There I see that the majority in Germany and especially in Berlin was Eastern Europeans, and they was not informed from our country because of the culture. It's not the reason of the culture, it was the problem of the education. We get in the next years the offer to participate in the European project AIDS Mobility. So I was coordinating the first initiatives in Germany for working in the field of HIV prevention for migrants. Later I quit my job in the project for male sex work, and I start to work to make projects in the countries of origin of these people coming to Germany, so most of them in Eastern Europe, where I learned the health structures in the countries itself. And after 5 years international work, I'm coming back to work in the organization AIDS Hilfe, who offer services for HIV positive people. In AIDS Hilfe, I am responsible for the migrants living with HIV, with or without papers, without documents, without insurance. The AIDS Hilfe is a big, one of the biggest service providers in Germany. I heard in the first part of this day about checkpoints. So we are a little bit more like a checkpoint. We offer short testing, but we offer counseling, we offer a place for treatment, a place for meeting for HIV positive people. We are something like a knowledge hub for HIV-related themes in Berlin. And my duty, my work in this organization is to offer counseling for migrants. And my biggest problem is the question of the insurance, because in Germany we don't have the same situation like now in England. We have no possibility for treatment for undocumented people. And the question is how to help all these people to get treatment and to make something to stop the disease. The question is that we can really do very much. It's very much changing in Germany, but it's nothing really changing on the level of the legal prescription from the state. The state pays for the prevention, but not for the treatment. And the prevention is done sometimes good and sometimes wrong. The question of the language is not a question of cultural sensitive prevention. Not the language itself is enough to reach the people. It's a little bit more like only the language. I speak 7 or 8 or more languages, and I can make consultation in these languages, but I see that the specific of that what the people expect for us, it's not only to speak the language, it's a little bit more. Know what they are, who they are. Maybe not only that they are HIV positive, but too that they are coming from, I don't know, this part of Anatolia, or that they are coming, they have a background with many economical problems and so on. For me, the experience showed me that the sex work alone is not the biggest danger, or other formulated, not the sex work, it's the way to the infection. Because if somebody gets infected working like a sex worker, he do it in his private own sex life, love, through falling in love and forgetting to use the condoms and so on. And it's not true that the sex work is dangerous. Love, and that's something maybe beautiful on the work with people touched by HIV. That's the passion. It's something that characterizes every of my clients, and every of it's not important if the people are men having sex with men, or I don't know, IDUs, drug users. It's a big passion what makes the person vulnerable, and if we can support the people and include them in the process of taking of decisions, we have an easier job. We had last year in Germany a project focused of the different group of migrants named PACOMI, and we see after the finish of this project that the participation, the real participation of migrants help us to not to reach the migrants, but that the migrants themselves are able to take the responsibility for the prevention setting. So maybe it's better to let the migrants to do the prevention for themselves, and to find the migrants and to pay these people for this prevention work, and not to do from very high level looking down to these stupid people. One aspect what I want to say about cultures. For me, I have access to very much cultures, but I don't believe in cultural differences. I think it exists one big difference in the cultures. We have individualist cultures and collectivist cultures. And that's the biggest difference, and that's the difference why in Germany many foreigners don't feel really home, because they are coming from a culture where, or from a society where the decision of the majority is very important. And in Germany, we, and in UK and other very much Northern European countries, we have a decision of individual for himself. All the rest, it's really a little difference of religion and language and maybe kitchen, but not really the difference in the mentality. This one big difference is to understand when we make prevention and we work with migrants. I can say more about the situation in Germany, but maybe somebody have some questions or.
I didn't understand one thing. You said that falling in love is the real danger. Do you mean that sex workers would use condoms, but at a certain point when they fall in love with a client, they would forget the condom?
Yes, I was working from 1993 to 2007 in male sex work, and I tested very much people, and I also offer consultation to very much HIV positive people, and I see when we spoke about, it's not something scientific, but we see that the moment of the contact with HIV was in the level of the love and own sex life, and not in the sex work itself. That means it was a mistake maybe in the first years of the prevention work in Germany that we focalize only the sex work. Don't work without condom. Don't work without condom. Don't love. It was illusion often. They think they are falling in love in a client, and it was a dependence, and it was a very difficult relationship, but it was not the sex work pure what brings the confession.
So would this be something migrant specific, or is this?
No, I think it's specific for everybody. I think you are vulnerable when you are open to something and to somebody.
Do you have a
No,
question?
I don't speak very well English. I see it maybe looks strange, but I know some cases that this happens.
I'm working in low threshold talking services for sex workers, migrants, and Finnish, and male and female. And I think what we had earlier today, when we were talking about HIV and prevention among sex workers, we were talking about occupational health risk. And I think that's a totally different approach when we think about sex work as work, and we focus on working environment, how to make it safe. So it's not only individual level, if you are in love or not, but if you are working, how to make working environment safe, and how to guarantee the safety regulations, and also implement them in sex work scene. And there is a big difference between different migrant groups. Depends on your status. If you are undocumented, your risks are enormous because of your status, not because you sell sex. But your whole situation is totally different.
You accept anything because you don't have documents, so you think you accept anything.
Yeah, and you don't know much about it. You are afraid of services because you don't know if you're jeopardizing your staying.
Thanks so much for combining this to the session this morning. So we have different layers here when we discuss the issue. So this was a very, very personal layer that we discussed the issue. And the session this morning or 2 hours ago was more on, how to shape politics. So we have to maybe differentiate here a little bit. This is the last question, and then we have to move on. I'm sorry, otherwise you might get angry.
Yes, Michal from Slovenia. Just to make a little bit of search of what you explained, it's really interesting, but would you go so far as to say that if somebody is a heterosexual male sex worker, is that a kind of advantage in that defense against that risk you mentioned?
Yes, I would say it's true. They have the distance. They are two in danger, but it's a big difference. I make no comparison. In these 20 years, I meet only a few infected heterosexual male sex worker. Maybe it's the question of offered services, but the first, for me, relevant aspect, it was that they was not falling in love, and they don't risk because they lost their minds middle in the big love affair.
Okay, so Sergiu, thanks so much for your input, and we go ahead now with Thomas and listen to the perspective of somebody who treats people and what the problems are.
Yes, it's a big step, it's the same issue, but it's another position of view. And okay, I will start to speak a little bit about me, that you know who I am. I told in the first group here that I'm a German doctor, and I'm happy that I'm here in Lisbon, because in the year 1988, I I worked here in the hospital Santa Maria in the neurosurgeon section, and I was a student at that time, so I was not a medical doctor, but I came later and I made more stages here in Lisbon, and I worked later after my studying medicine in Hamburg and finishing in Brazil for 1 year in the tropical medicine sector, and I treated the first HIV patients in Brazil. We just had ACT in that time in Fortaleza, and so this is my connection to the scene, and I had the luck that I could continue this work in Hamburg. My great dream was to work in the tropical medicine section in Hamburg, but it was not possible. But I found a very good helper, my colleague Professor Stellbrink, and with him I worked in the University Hospital in Hamburg, and since 92 I worked there for 10 years, and now it's nearly 10 years again. I work in my own practice together with 7 other colleagues. And just in the beginning, about this part is wrong, I will speak later, and because now I will step to this other point of view. I think this is important. We spoke about that because it's very interesting to me. In Hamburg or in Germany, there is no access to the medicaments for people who have no documents, who have no insurance. There is no possibility. The only possibilities we have are not legal, because, for example, I get medicine back from other patients who have insurance, and I can give this medicine to people without documents. This is a possibility. But you can imagine you can't do this for years. Yeah? When I see someone, an electrizator, just with about 10 CD4 cells, and maybe he has Kaposi sarcoma, and I know he needs immediately treatment. I can't wait, not days and weeks or months until he has a legal state. And for example, especially with Brazilians, it's difficult in handle with days, because the government in Germany says they can go back to their country, because there they will have access to the treatment. So they won't get it. It's easier for people from Côte d'Ivoire, because there everybody knows, or from Ghana, they have no access to treatment. So for these people, I can start in my practice with the treatment, because you have to pay about 1,300 a month for the treatment. Maybe you can do this for 3-4 months, but you can't do it for a long time. And so normally I'm able to arrange the start of the therapy. And my experience, for example, in Hamburg is when you are a lab presenter, you have AIDS, you are very ill, then there is a possibility to get a legal state. We call it in Germany Duldung. It's not a real legal state. It's the government tells you you're not allowed to stay in Germany, but we accept that you can remain here for some days, for some weeks. And so they give this Duldung for 2 months, for 3 months, maybe for half a year, but normally a shorter period.
You are tolerated.
Yes, you are just tolerated, but you are tolerated in an illegal status. That's perverse. So the situation here in Great Britain, I know André is not here, but I ask him later, or I heard here in Portugal too, is that you have access to treatment. I heard that, for example, the government is paying all the HIV medicine, and then the doctors they give the medicine to the patients. So this is different in Germany. Maybe it would be easier for us in Germany. We would have this system here, but in Germany you need this health insurance. We have 2 types. We have this private sector, and it's okay when you are healthy, but if you are ill, then this private insurance is not good. and we have this public health insurance for people with HIV. It's much better to have this public insurance, and the only possibility to go in this insurance is a legal status, and so this is a very difficult situation. And you can make please the next slide. And we discussed 2007 in Berlin. I think that was a very good thing, because with the Institute for Human Rights, these people, many official ones from the church, from medicine, from syndicates, yes. Many people, they came there and we discussed, and we had a lot of different views. And in my head, I thought we have two groups. The one group focused just in doing good things. So they wanted to help people. Maybe very concrete to give this medicaments, but they are not thinking in political things. In the other group, I was more in this other group, was thinking more in a political way, wanted to fight for the rights for people to get this medicament, because not just for me as a medical doctor, as a human being, I can't believe that people who are very, very ill, and I know when we don't do it, they can suffer a lot or they will die, and we have no legal possibility to give treatment to them. That's a big scandal, and therefore we met together, and please the next one, and so that's the name, Undocumented Migrants in Germany, the Right to Health report of the National Working Group on Health Eligibility. And the next one, so you can find this, but maybe it's too long to write it now. But you can send an email to me and I can send you the summary in English. This is this here, it's about how many sites? It's about 50 sites. And the good thing is we documented the whole discussion. So this different views, everybody told us, and people from the Conservative Party, from CDU were there, and from the Social Democratic Party, from the Left Party, from the Greens. And so we discussed, and this was very important to understand the arguments from the other side. But the frustrating thing is that we couldn't change anything. We just discussed, we had a good paper. I had the honor that I could work with this group, but we didn't change many things. So, please the next thing. But with this, we agreed, we all agreed that the society and the state has a duty to provide healthcare services to the whole population, and that further on its state's obligation to guarantee that under the access to proper medical services also applies to socially marginalized groups. So this was, we agreed. And the next. And now I come to the but. When I discussed with this man from the Conservative Party, who was in favor for the system we have now, he said, this very ill person, he has access because he has to go to the police and has to say, here I am, I'm very ill, I'm illegal here, but I need treatment. And so the big conflict is that they don't understand that this but is not possible, because the human rights shouldn't depend on this but. Human rights means that every person, independently of this status, should have access to treatment. And there we had big problems with one another, that we couldn't find this as agree, that we have to be without this but. And without conditions, we need access to treatment. And yes, and why but? Because it was important for them, this Buhk, because they are anxious, they fear that the migrants could get a privilege. That was an argument, it came again and again. When we would give to people without insurance medical care, so they would get it without money, and other Germans, they pay a lot of money for health insurance, but these people, they would get it without money, and this is not fair. And they think there will be a lot of misusage. It's not possible to control it. This is an argument. And then all the people, all the migrants from all over the world that were here in Germany, they have access to the medicaments without money, and all will come to Germany. This is very stupid argument too, and the cost is the last big argument. And but the problem, I think we focus this is that in this situation they come too late to ask for help, and that means they will suffer a lot of diseases. Maybe they go in the hospital and they will produce more and more costs. It's not just inhuman, it's very expensive too. And the next one is we discussed this 2.5 models, how to organize healthcare for the people. And the first is an anonymous card with which they can go to ask for help, and they don't have to identify their names or their address. This would be a possibility. The question is who will give the money, but I think we have enough money in Germany, maybe in other countries or in the EU too, to give money for this special project. It's not a billion we need, we just need a few millions. And the second is a fund which would be paid by society, by pharmaceutical and insurance companies, and it's a little bit another system in which we have the money and we give this money for special problems, or even third is a mixture of this. So my 10 minutes are over, but I think it's a very important topic. And for that I thank very much to EATG too, because they are thinking about these problems and they're helping a lot. And but the central point is how we can develop more pressure for our politicians, for our politics, that they change these laws and that we have more human rights in our laws.
Yeah, I think the fact nothing changed after your recommendations clearly demonstrates that there's no political will at all to change that. And if I look at the example from the UK, all these arguments, that it would be maybe costly, or that it might drive undocumented migrants from other countries into the UK if they receive treatment for free. All this is not, it's not proven, so all these arguments never materialized. So, and at the end of the day, I would say, and you mentioned that if somebody is a late presenter, the costs you have to spend are much, much higher compared to the costs you would spend when you would treat them in time. And given the fact that if you don't treat, it might infect others, that's another argument I would say that could get used to state that it's at the end of the day cheaper to put everybody on treatment who needs it and who wants it. I don't know, have I seen a hand over there? No. Does anybody have a question here in the audience? We have not much time, 5 minutes, and then we are summarizing this session.
Yes, I think what was just said now is very much confirming the importance of the concept of otherness in the sense of different sexual orientation, or otherness in the sense of migrants, so that there is this, in the construct of the arguments which you presented, which are blocking successful solutions, there's a lot of social energy going on, and this is the one that's actually determining what society does and doesn't. So it's bringing us back to the fact that a lot of reality around HIV and AIDS has not to do with a medical world, but has to do with social relations and the way society is structured. So very interesting. Thank you.
Does anybody else have comments?
I'd like to give advice to people to colleagues who work with people who like to come to Germany. The situation is so that after this meeting, what Thomas said, it's something changing in Germany, but in the wrong direction. The Germany make a cancellation of the European Agreement of Welfare, where every European country is a member since 1953, and no people from Western European countries are equal with people from Romania and Bulgaria. That means they get nothing on the level of the social welfare if they come. And I have now a very big group of Spanish, Italian and Greek clients in Berlin coming to Germany like a few years ago. It's only 1 year ago, in February 2012, coming this changement. It's not legal changement. That means the German justice say it's not legal, but the government under the actual European controller said no, they have to be scared about the situation. So in the moment, a person coming, for example, from Portugal and working 1 month, 2 months in Germany after applying for social welfare, don't get nothing. The only one situation is to have a work, but maybe for a little money, 500 euro or something like this, and to apply supplementary social welfare. If you apply because you don't have the treatment, the medicine, a home and so on, you get nothing. It's the same situation of the Romanian and Bulgarian newcomer in Europe. And that's a big problem. I see in 6 months a person, a young gay man from Western Europe coming to Germany, have a flat, have a job, have everything. And after 6 months, he's under the bridge. He had no medicine more. He interrupted medication, cannot come back to the own country because maybe he's jobless or have some conflicts and so on. And that's a big problem. It's a wrong evolution in the wrong direction.
So we are almost on the end, and actually we asked Giuliu to do the closing words, so to summarize. So you took notes, and there will be a report from this session coming out. So Giuliu, maybe not longer than 5 minutes, or 4 minutes, or maybe 3.
Just a few thoughts that I had listening to you. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. The first thought is that we all are liars. We all lie. We cannot say the truth. We cannot tell ourselves, tell who we are. And that's applied to migrants. That's applied to MSM. That obviously applies more for migrant MSM. So in Andre's experience, which was very touching and interesting, it was clear that if you want to have access to health services, you have to lie. You have not to tell them you know you are HIV positive, but you have to tell another story, that it is not your own story, your own who you are, where you come from. nSergiu talked about another lie, that is the lie about the lack of prevention for migrants. If I well understood, you told that there is a lot of prevention opportunities to be to get some prevention intervention for migrants, and that the cultural differences are not so important. What can be very dangerous is when you try to expose yourself, you know, to be vulnerable and to meet someone else. And then again, Dr. Buhk Thomas told us that you have to lie to get treatment. You cannot get treatment because of that person, but you have to tell the government that you need for another person. And the very interesting thought by Miha was that we are in a situation where otherness is not respected. Who we are is not respected. And this can seem not a health issue. It's more something related to happiness in general. But I really think that if we are here, it is because we know that taking care of people living with HIV, being them migrants, MSM or whatever else, or other hidden populations, we are taking care of the well-being in general, and that's the focal point for us.
So thanks a lot to the speakers. Thanks to you for coming and to listen to our lies. So please don't